Expense reporting made easy. What you need to do in order to claim expenses. Welcome to Digital Green. In your day-to-day work at DG, there will be times when you will spend your own money while doing DG work. Any expense that is incurred by a DG employee for the purpose of work, be it the cost of travel, meals, mobile, internet, lodging, etc., can and should be claimed by the employee. We at Digital Green follow an expense reporting system with the help of an online reporting tool called Expensify. This can be done by creating expense reports and sending original receipts to our accounting office in Bangalore. First, online reporting. In order to report expenses, go to www.expensify.com. You would have already received a mail about Expensify. The first time you will need to sign up using your Digital Green email address and your pre-assigned password. On signing up, you will be sent an email for you to validate your account. Please do so. Going back to Expensify now, let me just sign in. On signing in, you will see a dashboard. To claim your expenses, you first need to create a report. Add a report title. When you enter the title, make sure to follow this title convention. Project name, hyphen, employee name, underscore, report, and then the serial number of that report. In parentheses, the period, and other details. It is important to remember that all expenses pertaining to a particular donor or project should be separately tracked and claimed. That is, separate expense claims should be separately submitted and tagged for each project during each reporting cycle. That is why it is extremely important to fill the project name. For example, some current project names are BMGF, Ford, and SERP. A report claimed by me for a project, say SERP, from the period of 1st of June 2011 to the 30th of June 2011 could be named as SERP-Shreya_report1 and then the period. If I want to add, I can also add other details. For instance, travel to Mahbubnagar. Another example, if the claim under a project name Ford for an employee, say Ajit Pai, pertains to a specific training program or a team meet, say in this case a training at Chaibasa, the same can be named as Ford-Ajit Pai _report. Say this is the second report they are filing under the project Ford, the period, and then the details, training at Chaibasa. Please note that the date mentioned in the name of this report is the date when the meeting was held in Chaibasa. Now that we know how to add report titles, let's see how we can add expenses. It's quite simple. Just go to Add Expenses. We then click on New Expense. As you can see, there are three options: one, a few, and a lot. Depending on the number of expenses that you need to claim, click on either one or a few. A lot should only be used if you intend to import expenses from your card or bank account. Clicking on one, for instance. Please enter the date when you incurred that expense, say 1st of February 2012. Enter the amount, the merchant, the category, and comment. Make sure to save these entries. After you have saved this entry, it should appear under your report. Before submitting the report, you can always edit and even delete the expense. In this way, you can add multiple expenses. Just make sure that while adding expenses, you maintain a chronological flow. Another thing to note is that any claim made on behalf of a fellow team member should be mentioned in the comments column. And if one employee is not claiming a particular expense because it has already been claimed by another employee, the same should also be mentioned in their comments column. After adding all the expenses, submit your report to the supervisor, who will then be responsible for approving it and forwarding it to the accountants. Also CC the person in the admin department who will be responsible for sending your original receipts to the accounts department in Bangalore. And then click on Submit. Please review your reports well before submitting it. In the rare occasion you realize that you have made a mistake while filling in your report and have already submitted it, you can retract the report and resubmit it after making the changes. You will receive mails with the status of whether your reports have been approved or declined. You can also go to the report section and check the status. These reports have been submitted and these reports have been approved. Now let's move on to the second component of expense reporting, related to receipts and documentary evidence. Please be sure to save your receipts. Without receipts, you will not be reimbursed. There may be cases where you are not provided with receipts from service providers, for instance in the case of local transport and auto rickshaws. In that case, you will need to make a self-declaration. Make sure to include the following details in the self-declaration: Expensify report title, purpose, merchant, amount, date of expense, any other comments, and be sure to sign it. All original bills, vouchers, tickets, and the self-declarations are to be submitted to the admin department either in head office or regional office depending on where you are based. Please be sure to send these latest by the end of the month. The admin department will then send these documents to the accounts department in Bangalore. There may be a rare occasion when you yourself need to send the claims. The address in that case to courier these documents is. When couriering, make sure that you have a project-wise cover page with the Expensify report title attached to your bills. If there are claims for 2 projects, 2 covers should be sent for the 2 reports submitted. While couriering, the same can be put together in a larger cover and sent to the accounts department. Please note that each donor may have different requirements for supporting documents. Example, boarding passes for flights. So it's important to preserve and submit as much of this as possible. Moving on to the third component of expense reporting, copies and filing. Copies of all bills should be maintained by each individual employee. This can be done so in hard or soft copy. These records may need to be accessed, especially if your original receipts are misplaced or lost in transit. On Expensify, when entering expenses, you will see that there is an option of attaching receipts. This is not mandatory. You may choose to do so, however, if you intend to keep soft copy records of your receipts. Even though you may decide to attach these receipts, it is essential that you send your original receipts to Bangalore. We've gone over online reporting, receipts and documentary evidence being sent to Bangalore, as well as copies and filing at the individual level. Now, it's also essential to figure out what exactly are your entitlements. You can figure this out by reading the DG Personnel Policy and Procedure Manual. It's also called the HR Manual. This document should have been shared with you at the time of joining. You would have already been assigned a category, A, B or C. on the basis of which you will be eligible for entitlements. Some expenses, such as for room rent, mobile usage, and long-distance travel, can be claimed as per actuals as long as they are less than or equal to the amount entitled. These expenses need to be supported by receipts. Other expenses incurred while traveling on food, laundry, etc. fall under the category of daily allowance. These expenses are reimbursed based on your entitlement as per your category and city of travel without documentary evidence. Expenses exceeding the amounts mentioned in the manual will need prior approval from respective supervisors and should be supported by relevant bills. To end, please remember our core value, frugality. We spend money on things that really matter and believe that frugality breeds resourcefulness, sustainability, and invention. I hope that you're now clear on exactly what you need to do when you need to claim expenses. In case of any doubts, please feel free to get in touch with the HR department. Thank you so much for sitting patiently through this video, and happy expensifying!